I know. It's a little bit ironic that I am posting a video about solo traveling the day before Valentine's Day. But our generation is all about irony, isn't it? Hey y'all, and welcome. If you're new here, I'm Christy, the Gen X Gypsy, helping you to travel better so you can focus on making unforgettable memories. If you follow me over on Instagram, you'll know that I just returned from my own Solocation in Asheville, North Carolina. You should join me over there if you want to see a little bit more behind the scenes and some of the other adventures I go on. I do try to post on my stories at least once a day, and I'd love to have you join that community as well. But here today, we are talking all about solocations. The what, the why, and the how. Let's go. So what is a solocation? Well, much like a staycation, the solocation name sort of implies what it is. It's a vacation that you take by yourself. And it can be as simple as taking an overnight somewhere like a town that's maybe an hour or two away from you, to as extravagant as taking a tour around Europe for a month. The most important part is that this adventure that you're taking, you're doing alone. You're not going on a group tour, you're not traveling with family, and you're not traveling with friends. Now that is not to say that you won't be engaging with other people while you're traveling. Clearly you're not traveling in a little bubble. You will probably be talking to other people while you are going about your adventure. The important part is that you and you alone get to set the itinerary and the parameters for your adventure. Why should you go on a solocation? For me, the most important part of going on a solocation is the lack of responsibility and expectations that come along with a solocation. You only have to worry about your expectations for yourself. You're not having to encompass everybody else's needs or things that they want to do. I mean, basically, it's the selfish part of a solocation, right? I just like to be able to do what I want to do sometimes. And yes, it is selfish, but being selfish is okay. We were brought up in a generation that taught us that being selfish is such a horrible thing. But you know what? If we're not selfish every once in a while, we start to lose the ability to actually take care of other people in our lives. That part of being able to go on a solocation where I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it is really important to me. And that's not to say I need to do that all the time. I just need to have a little bit in my life to help get me through the rest of the time. Another reason to do a solocation is that I believe that it helps build your self-confidence, and it's just really good for strengthening your soul. It makes you get out of your comfort zone in ways that you don't get to in everyday life. Pushing those comfort zone boundaries is really important to grow as a person. In fact, I would suggest that you should be pushing those comfort zone boundaries pretty much every day. Also, you'll get to go out and have these great new experiences without being influenced by other people's opinions. You'll get to try new things, and you'll really know how you feel about those new things without maybe having somebody else taint or cloud how you're feeling about something. We've all had that experience where you've gone and done something and you've kind of enjoyed it, but maybe the person that you're with is sort of like,
I don't know, blah, blah, this was not so great, blah, blah, blah.
And that starts to cloud your experience, or maybe just makes you not enjoy the experience as much because they're not having a good time. So having those experiences by yourself will really help you be able to hone your own feelings about things. And I think that's really important for us to do every once in a while. Of course, there are some safety protocols that you do need to follow if you are solo traveling, and especially if you are a female solo traveling out there. The first is to turn on your spidey sense. And by that, I mean for you to hone in your situational awareness. you need to be a little bit more aware of your surroundings and the people around you and what is happening. Have that peripheral vision going. But you also don't want to be paranoid while you're out there traveling. So you need to find that fine balance of awareness without constantly being hyper aware. So somewhere between aware and hyper aware. Find that sweet middle ground, and that's where you need to be. Number 2, although the beauty of a solocation is being able to be really loosey-goosey with your plans and kind of, set things up as you go along, you do need to let someone know where you are going, where you're staying, what time you should be arriving there, and when you're planning on coming back home. It's a good idea to leave an itinerary with someone, and of course to check in with them every once in a while to let them know that you are doing okay. I know it kind of takes away from, like I said, the ability to be super spontaneous, but you can always update them if you decide to go and do something that's not on the itinerary. Just let somebody know where you are. It's good for them and it's good for you. And number 3, I'm going to use a phrase here that is often used on my favorite podcast, which is My Favorite Murder with Georgia Hardstark and Karen Kilgariff. And it is to fudge politeness. Now, they don't use the word fudge, but I'm trying to be PG here for whatever reason, just in case you have kids in the room. Fudge politeness. If you feel like you're in a situation or somebody is making you uncomfortable, don't feel like you need to stay in that situation. Remove yourself as quickly as possible, and you do not need to be polite. It is okay to be rude to somebody who is making you feel uncomfortable. And most important, if when you choose to walk away and maybe find a group of normal looking people to go hang out with or start engaging in a conversation to get away from the situation, if the person or situation that is making you uncomfortable starts yelling at you or cussing at you, then that person didn't deserve your kindness or politeness anyway. So don't be afraid to fudge politeness and get yourself out of any uncomfortable situation that you find yourself in as quickly as possible. Number 4, this might help eliminate getting stuck in an uncomfortable situation, and that is to wear headphones. And you don't have to have anything going in the headphones when you have them on. They just make a really good deterrent from having strange people want to start conversations with you. It's a good way if you're like on a bus or a train and maybe there's somebody that is making you uncomfortable. Just put on your headphones, and that really eliminates a lot of possibility of somebody trying to start a conversation with you that you really just have no interest in starting. So wear those headphones, but with a caveat. If you are going out hiking by yourself, do not have your headphones in. Or if you have your headphones in or on, don't actually have music or a podcast playing. Just wear them to have the extra deterrent from having people talk to you. But you need to be able to hear the things around you in the forest. So when you're hiking, don't have your headphones blasting music in your ears while you're hiking. You need to enjoy the nature anyway. Number 5. Now this is one that I feel like at our age, we should already really know this, but I'm going to throw it out there just because it is one that is super important and maybe can get forgotten. And that is to not get drunk. Don't get sloppy drunk when you are traveling by yourself. Now, I'm not saying you can't go out there and do the tastings, like the beer tastings and the wine tastings and the cider tastings. I mean, I love all the tastings, but just because you're doing a tasting doesn't mean you need to actually finish every drink that they put in front of you. You can taste each one and enjoy the experience and then move on. You just want to make sure you are not making yourself vulnerable to having something not so safe happen to you. And that goes along with don't get drunk in the hotel bar. If you're staying in a hotel or a motel or wherever that has a bar that you can walk back to your house or your room or whatever, don't get sloppy drunk in the bar. Just because you can walk back to wherever you're staying, it's still not safe for you to get sloppy drunk by yourself. I know, I sound like a mom preaching here, but I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I tell my daughter all the time. Granted, she's 25 now, so I don't know how much she listens to me anymore, but I tell her, make smart choices. Make the smart choices when you're out there in the world alone, no matter how old you are. And that brings us to number 6. And this isn't something that is necessarily a safety protocol, but it's something I would highly encourage you to do if you are out there traveling alone. And that is to engage people in conversations, especially wait staff or baristas or, information people at visitor centers. It's good to get information from locals for a number of reasons. One is that you might miss out on something really cool because it wasn't on your Pinterest page or the blogs that you've read or the YouTube videos that you watched ahead of time. They might be able to tell you something that's really only known by locals. That would be really cool to see. One of my favorite questions that I'm asking people right now and that I asked when I was up in Asheville is, what is something that you would like people who come to visit your town to know about when they get there or before they get there? And it's a great open-ended question. They will totally start chatting away and you won't really have to say much. So for those introverts out there, it's a really good open-ended question to start a conversation with. And you never know where it might lead you. If you're planning a solo road trip this year, check out this video next. Go forth and create your adventures, my kindred spirits, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.